so we appreciate that you're giving us some time to cut into regular programming, but multiple warnings in the area as we've started to see this line of thunderstorms begin to rotate. So let's take a look at velocity here. Of course, we're starting to see potential for damaging tornado. It looks like, let me get some information on this one here. To this tornado warning that's just to the northwest of the Memphis area. We've got a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near the Crawfordsville area. That's just outside of Earl. It's moving northeast very, very quickly, around 60 miles per hour. So damaging winds as well as flying debris could be the threat within this tornado. Currently, it is radar indicated, so we have not gotten confirmation on the ground of its of it being a confirmed tornado, but still something we need to keep our eyes on. So look at the velocity here. I want to switch over to a different velocity product that gives us a better sense of the rotation of this storm. I'm not seeing quite on this most recent scan anything that catches my eye, but if we go back a few scans, that's where we started to see some of that faster rotation right there just outside of the Crawfordsville area, moving towards Crawfordsville now. Where I'm looking is right around in this area here where we see some of that southern extent of the storm. You can tell that's that sort of hook echo shape where it drops down right around here. And if we could pull this Max 1 full, I would appreciate that from production. Thank you. We've got the potential for a tornado developing right around in this area here. So several areas with that tornado threat tonight. As we switch back down towards the Mariana area here, this is just outside of Mariana, moving through Cross County this evening. We've got the potential for a tornado developing around this region as well, switching the velocity product so it's a little more clear. We've got that red and green signature just on the southern extent of the storm. Right there you see red that is moving away from the radar site north of Memphis. The greens are moving towards. So right here is where we've got that bit of rotation within this tornado warning. A third one off to the north though, I want to bring you back up towards the Dyersburg area. This one has been looking the most healthy as far as storms are concerned. We want to see that green right next to the red, and that's what we've got very, very clearly here. If we switch over the velocity product to another one, you can see it a little bit better. Those bright green colors right there around the Double Bridges area. This is just outside of Bruceville in the Folks area, moving up to the northeast very, very quickly. So I want to put a track on this. We are moving around 60 miles per hour. The thing is, we've got a very strong jet stream this evening. It's moving to the northeast out of our viewing area eventually, but it'll be in the New Bern vicinity by around 6:10 this evening. It'll be around Dyer, outside of the Dyer County area. It'll be in Dyer around 6:19, continuing to move out of our vicinity. We'll go ahead and clear some of this off here, and we'll take things back to a wide view of the radar here of the Memphis metro. We've been seeing multiple thunderstorms rolling through this afternoon, and everything has started to really kick off just within the last 15 minutes. Several severe thunderstorms as well as a couple of three tornado warnings have all just recently dropped around the area. I want to take you back along the line. We're going to be tracking multiple storms over the next probably 45 minutes to an hour, if not longer than that, as we're getting in new data on this southern storm here. So we'll drop it back to the velocity product here so we can see if we have another signature showing up a little bit more clearly. It's not showing up very, very clearly, but this is on the lowest level that we get for the radar product, and it sometimes can be underneath the lowest scan of the storm. We get a little bit more of low-level rotation here from the closer storm to the Millington radar. And you can see we've got some of that red color here just outside of the West Memphis area. I'll get my cursor back here. You see we've got more of that red moving away from the radar. That's moving southwest, and green moving northeast. We could see that turn into a tornado at any given moment. So of course, if you are in the path of any of these thunderstorms, you want to seek shelter at the lowest room of your home, at the most interior room of your residence there. So of course, let's look at some of those tornado safety tips. Anytime you're in a tornado warning, you always want to be inside and not go outside. Stay in a basement if you have one, the smallest, most interior room of your home possible. That's going to be the best place to be, away from windows, away from doors, and away from exterior walls. While you're going to your safety shelter, bring along a blanket, bring along maybe a heavy coat, something that can help to insulate you, protect you from flying debris. And if you have a bicycle helmet, or if your kids have a football helmet, those are also good things to grab on your way to your shelter. If you're in a high-rise building, you want to go to the lowest floor possible. If you have a basement, that'll be a good spot, or interior stairwells. Those are also good places to be during a tornado warning. Coming back to radar now, we see we've got multiple tornado warnings. Of course, we're about 4 minutes away from our upcoming 6 o'clock news this evening. We will likely have to continue our tornado coverage throughout that that newscast. But we'll zoom back in. Like I said, we've got multiple tornado warnings. If you're just now tuning in, we'll take you through them over the next several minutes. We're going to continue with these threats around the area. This is just into parts of Cross County and south of Crittenden County. We've got the chance for that tornado to move in very quickly. Many of these areas, I should also say St. Francis County, my mistake, many of these areas could see a tornado drop down in any given moment, so you want to be in your shelter at this time. Moving up towards the Memphis area here, we do see this tornado warning for the Clarkdale area. This is just outside of the Memphis proper metro. But we do see in these areas the potential for that rotation to reach to the ground. So we'll go ahead and drop over to the storm relative velocity. This is, of course, showing us the relative motion of the storm compared to that radar site. So the radar site is just to the north of Memphis here, right around the Veterans Parkway area. This is up just north of Millington. So whenever we've got winds that are moving towards the radar site in these green colors, and then away from the radar site, that's where we've got that rotation, and we could see that translate down to the surface at any given moment. We can look at radar and sort of correlate where we see some of that heavy rainfall coming down. Just around the I-55 corridor, this is likely starting to move towards the Mississippi floodplain here. So we'll likely see that moving in very, very shortly here over the next several minutes. Off to the north, it looks like we've had an adjustment to this warning to clear out some of Lauderdale County. Around the Dyer County area, we also have that tornado warning presently. Many of these signatures are fleeting, if not a little more. They are fleeting, if not remaining a little bit more long. But I want to come back to this storm here in Crittenden County here. Around the Clarkdale area, we do have a traffic camera along I-55. If we could pull that up, we'd like to take a look at that. So we've got very heavy rainfall coming down. You can see people have their headlights on, of course, and we could see some very heavy rain, even some pops of lightning within these thunderstorms. You always want to be very careful when driving in severe weather. We haven't seen as much of a risk for hail, which is a good thing, but anytime we see some of these thunderstorms rolling in with very heavy rainfall, or if you're driving quickly and you run into hail, that can cause some issues when you're driving. So take it a little bit slower if you are going to be out there in these thunderstorms. Let's take a little bit of a broad view of these storms. We'll loop this over the last hour so we can get a sense of the motion. The storms are moving very quickly, around 60 miles per hour. Most of them are moving east relative to everything, but we could see those threats moving northeast as they continue to push along with the jet stream here. So we'll go ahead and take a look right here. Once again, we'll go through all of these storms, and then we'll bring back up the 6 o'clock newscast here. We've got one severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, I should say, in St. Francis County, moving into southern parts of Cross County and Crittenden County. This is going to continue over the next several minutes here as we go into the 6 o'clock hour. We've had an update trimming some of the tornado warning in Crittenden County and dropping another severe thunderstorm warning. So around the Jericho area, about to cross over the Mississippi River, we'll be moving into extreme northwestern Shelby County. This tornado warning here goes until, let me see here. finding that time, but it will likely continue for at least the next half hour as these storms continue through. And then moving on to this northern one up around parts of Lauderdale County, Crockett County, and Dyer County. This tornado warning, if we get that time there, that's also going until 6:30 this evening. So I'm going to take one quick moment to reset. We're going to start up our 6 o'clock evening news here as we get things going, but we'll be back with more updates on this forecast in just a moment.
Thank you guys for joining us on this special weekend edition here of ABC 24 News. Obviously a lot of weather that we're dealing with right now, going right off the top of meteorologist Kit Thomas for a look at everything that we're dealing with right now. I know there's tornado warnings and watches in effect.
Yeah, we have several tornado warnings already in effect across parts of Arkansas moving into West Tennessee. So let's get right to radar. Of course, many of these thunderstorms have started to rotate just within the last half hour. If we could actually get the graphics full, not to the green screen here, so we can get rid of that extra monitor there. Thank you. We've got the potential for several of these thunderstorms to produce a tornado. Many of these are moving east at around east-northeast at around 60 miles per hour. So this thunderstorm that's to the southwest of the Memphis area, here into parts of St. Francis County, Arkansas, around Marianna, Arkansas, is going to be moving to the northeast very, very quickly, eventually approaching the Memphis area. So if we just go out for the next hour, it'll be around the Midtown Memphis area around 6:53 p.m. this evening. So we're in this for a long haul for the next several hours this evening. In the closer regions here, Marianna, it's happening right now. You're starting to see those heavy rain bands moving in, so you want to be seeking shelter, most interior room, most lowest room of your home. It'll be in the Proctor area by around 6:34 there in southern Crittenden County. Walls, Mississippi, around 6:40 this evening, and West Memphis around 6:44 this evening as well. So we take a little look off towards the north here. We see another severe thunderstorm with a tornado warning on it presently. This is just crossing over the Mississippi River right now into parts of, that's very far north, Shelby County right now. Millington radar is showing that heavy rainfall coming in. As we take a look at velocity, this one hasn't had quite as apparent of a rotational signature to it, but it still has that potential for a tornado to drop down at any time. And also looking off towards the Dyer County area. This storm has had the best radar signature, but it also has a bit of hail contamination. So that we're keeping an eye on the potential for some large hail with this thunderstorm, up to around an inch in diameter. As we take a look at some of the threats with that, 3/4 to an inch of diameter hail is possible with that rotation. Whenever I say rotation, one spot that you want to look at is right around in here. We've got that outward winds there in the red and pink colors. Those are moving away from the Millington radar site, and all of these green colors are moving towards that radar site there. So if we just highlight this, I'll give it a quick circle here, just right here into eastern Dyer County. We can switch back over to the radar, and that shows up right around where we've got that heavy rain on that side of the storm. But it doesn't look like it's got that hook echo structure to it, so it might be starting to fall apart, which would be some good news. But we want to keep our eye on some of these thunderstorms just to our south as well. I'm going to send things back over to Kevin McNamara now. We'll get a couple of news stories in, and then we'll come back to our severe coverage.
Make sure you download the free ABC 24 app to stay on top of all the latest weather advisories and warnings. It's available in the App Store and Google Play, or text the word app to 901-321-7520. Now we're continuing our team weather coverage with ABC 24's Desmond Nugent. He's at the South Haven Community Safe Room. Desmond, what are you seeing out there?
Kevin, as you just said, we're here at the South Haven Community Safe Room, where people are trying to stay as safe as possible. I'm actually going to get out the way so you can see exactly how many people are here. They're just trying to weather the storm as it does come through Desoto County. I'm being told by a representative with the Desoto County Emergency Services that a tornado watch is in effect until 10 tonight. I'm also being told that there are several shelters like the one that I'm at that are open throughout this entire county. Take a look at your screen. Here are some of the locations that are open: Hernando Elementary, Horn Lake Elementary, Walls Elementary, and many other locations are open for anyone who is trying to seek shelter here in DeSoto County. I'm being told these shelters will be open until the tornado watch is no longer into effect. Now, we will keep you updated on anything that happens here in DeSoto County, on air and online. Live in South Haven, I'm Desmond Nugent.
All right, thank you for that, Desmond. We want to see your weather photos. As long as you can get any pictures or videos safely, send us what you see via text. Our number is 901-321-7520, or scan the QR code that you see on your screen. You can also post directly to our Weather Watcher Facebook page. And new tonight, the Pentagon and the Internal Revenue Service could possibly be the next federal agencies to see layoffs as President Trump and Elon Musk's Doge work to reshape the federal government. ABC's Jay O'Brien has the latest.
President Trump pushing ahead with sweeping plans to trim the size of the federal government, firing thousands of workers and impacting key agencies.
We want to downsize government, but make it better. Run it better.
ABC News has learned of 15,000 employees at the IRS now identified for possible termination as early as next week. According to a person familiar with the effort, the employees are on probationary status, meaning they typically started work within the last 2 years and do not have jobs directly related to processing tax filings. The IRS has not responded to ABC's request for comment. These sweeping cuts first targeting roughly 200,000 probationary federal employees across the government. At least 2,000 workers fired from the Department of Energy, more than 1,000 from Veterans Affairs, and another 1,000 from the Centers for Disease Control, including half of the agency's doctors and scientists who respond to outbreaks at home and abroad. ABC News obtaining this audio from a meeting at the Office of Personnel Management. Some employees told to gather their belongings and exit the premises.
You will receive your termination notice via email shortly, and it will include the reason for termination. As a result, your employment with the Office of Personnel Management will end today.
Federal employees nationwide let go. Carly Arado worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Greensboro, Georgia, helping farmers get federal funding. She received an email Friday night saying her position was terminated.
They say they care so much about their farmers, and they're taking away the people that help them the most.
And now the Pentagon, which employs 3.4 million troops and civilians, now bracing for possible cuts too. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
Continuing with our severe weather coverage now this evening, I'm going to get right back to our Max 1 radars. Of course, we've got several rounds of thunderstorms rolling through this evening, several of these tornado warnings. So let's go ahead and look back at Max 1, our radar here. This is up towards Dyersburg in Tennessee. We do see this storm. To my eyes, it looks like it's beginning to fall apart. It has less of a rotational signature, so that is some good news. And the National Weather Service here in Memphis is also indicating that they are not going to continue that tornado warning. So I'm going to return back to the south here. This is into parts of St. Francis County, moving towards Cross County and eventually towards Crittenden County, as well as DeSoto and Shelby County will be up next with this thunderstorm. We see a little bit of that quick rotation. The thing is, we've got many of these storms that are going to be cycling very, very quickly. So we've got some of those red pixels here next to those green pixels. So that's an area where we could see some rotation tighten up. Another area here where we're seeing some weak rotation as well. So a couple of spots where we might see a tornado spin up. Now, if we look at radar, you can see right where we were looking at there, that's where we've got a little bit of rotation here and a little bit of rotation there. So we've got a couple of lobes on the southern edge, the leading edge of this line of some thunderstorms. As we see around the area, we actually have many of those lobes starting to form. My eyes are drawn down to the Phillips County area. I want to investigate this. It might be a little bit too high from the radar's perspective, but we're just starting to see some of that rotation starting up here right along the leading edge of these thunderstorms. As we continue up the line of these storms, we get into some some weaker radar coverage just because we've got the storms moving perpendicular to the radar beam, so it makes it a little more difficult to see what the rotation is doing. But just south of that Drummond's area there into Tennessee, we start to see some of the rotation. It looks like we're getting a new scan coming in from the radar site in Millington. Looks like that area just south of Drummond's is really the best rotation signature that we've got at the moment. Now notice that every single red and green compound here, we've got some red there, some green there, that's actually not a rotational signature. That would be what's considered a downdraft. So you have the winds here coming towards the radar and just behind them moving away. So we could see some downbursting winds from some of these showers that are starting to move through. That, of course, enters in the severe wind component. We'll see that enter in a little bit later on tonight. Looking a little bit more broadly here, we've got just these 3 lone tornado warnings moving through the Mississippi River Valley at this moment. Again, up towards Dyersburg, that one has begun to fall apart and will eventually expire here. But we do have this continued tornado warning here around parts of Crittenden County, St. Francis County, and Cross County this evening. We'll get that information up on the screen here. This is going to be until and we'll get that, there we go. 6:15 is when this tornado warning is set to expire this evening. It also includes a little bit of Tunica County, just right there along the Mississippi River border with Arkansas. We'll go ahead and clear some of that information off of your screen, and we'll zoom back in on that tornado warning. It looks like the National Weather Service has canceled a tornado warning. So that is some good news. That's likely the one that is up towards the Dyer County area. So that one should drop off very shortly. Moving on towards the Memphis area, though, we do have this line of thunderstorms. We'll loop this over the last 30 minutes here, where we've had some of these thunderstorms rolling through very quickly. They're moving at around 60 miles per hour. So these are fast-moving thunderstorms and will likely be into the Memphis metro very shortly. So let's go ahead and get a track on some of these storms here, just right along the leading edge of this tornado warning. We'll put it out for the next hour, moving towards the Memphis metro. We'll likely see it getting through the Hughes, Arkansas right now into eventually Horseshoe Lake. That'll be around 6:30 this evening. It'll be eventually getting into downtown Memphis by 6:45, maybe a little bit earlier than that, and into Midtown by around 6:50, 6:45 or 6:50 as well. So we're keeping an eye on multiple storms rolling through, but these are the ones that are moving towards us here in the Memphis metro. So if you ever are caught in a tornado warning, I want to go through some of these tornado safety tips. We'll get back to that graphic here. You want to be at the lowest level of your home, the most interior room of your home. If you live in a high-rise, you want to be at the lowest level of that high-rise and potentially in the stairwell. That's going to be a very sturdy part of the building. You want to cover yourself, so bringing along heavy blankets, heavy coats, something that can protect you from any flying debris, especially if you have a bicycle helmet or any sort of sporting helmet with your kids when they're coming with you to that shelter. You want to bring something to protect your head if at all possible. Looking back at radar, of course, we've got numerous tornado warnings and even a severe thunderstorm warning all around us here in the Memphis metro area. So I want to start off with some of those storms off to the north here. We'll zoom in on that one just north of Millington, Tennessee here. looks like we've got some very heavy rainfall with that. And just on the Millington radar site, you can notice that we've got some very heavy rainfall coming in here. So this might be where we're starting to see some hail developing here once we get into those purple colors. At this time, this warning only includes the threat for hail up to about 3/4 of an inch, so about the size of a penny. But that could still continue to grow over the next several minutes here. Looks like we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that now encompasses West Memphis and Memphis proper. The full 240 loop is now within this severe thunderstorm warning, and that is the tornado warning that we were just talking about. And this has been allowed to expire. So that's some good news here. We're not seeing quite as much organization on rotation with that storm, which I was mentioning before. It was difficult to find where that rotation was. Now it's just going to be a straight line wind threat. Notice these blue colors here. That's where we are seeing the chance for severe winds up here on the legend. Once we transition from the greens to the blues, that's where it becomes more of a straight line wind threat. So it looks like we're switching over to that. I'm going to get some information from the National Weather Service. I want to bring back in my colleague, Kevin McNamara. I've got so many names in my head. Actually, it sounds like for my producer, we're going to our reporter Desmond Nugent out in the field.
Desoto County. Actually, I'm here at the South Haven Community Safe Room, where there's about a dozen people here trying to weather the storm, whatever happens here in Desoto County. I'm going to get out of the way so you can see how many people are here. They're eating snacks. They're just trying to wait to see if there's going to be any damage or anything that's going to be happening to their homes. I will say, one of the individuals I spoke to, she says that she comes here each and every time that there is some kind of tornado warning or severe thunderstorm warning. She says that even though there's not that many people here, she says that this will be a packed house. I did speak to a representative with the city of South Haven who says that the last time that they had the safe room here open to the public, that about 200 people filled this entire building. So it's still very early. Again, we do know that the DeSoto County Emergency Manager has said to me that a tornado warning is supposed to be in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. And so hopefully at some point that warning will go down. He also said that, if you're going to be driving tonight, please make sure that you take extra precaution, that even a few inches of rain could be the deciding factor of you actually being on the road to being off of the road. So again, we're here in the South Haven Community Center, Safe Haven Community Center, live in South Haven. I'm Desmond Nugent.
All right, thanks for that, Desmond. We'll be trying and check back in with you at some point later in the show. But for now, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, but then we'll come right back and we'll have more of this storm coverage with our Kit Thomas. Stay with us.
resuming our severe weather coverage this evening, I wanted to take a moment to reset and give a little bit more of what is to come this evening. Right now we have a tornado watch that extends from northwestern parts of Mississippi, southeastern Arkansas through western Tennessee. This goes until 10 o'clock this evening. Memphis right now under a severe thunderstorm warning, a tornado warning just to the north of us, crossing over into parts of Tipton County, into Lauderdale County, a severe thunderstorm warning, and a present tornado warning in Dyer County that is really beginning to fall apart. Now, here's what to remember about a watch versus a warning. A watch means that conditions are favorable for thunderstorms to develop into either severe storms or potentially a tornado could develop from that. So you want to be out ahead of the storm. You want to be making sure that you've got everything ready to go to get into your safe place. Once a warning is issued, that's when you want to take action, get into your safe place whenever you have that coming through. And of course, we're going to be talking about that here over the next several minutes. We've got a line of thunderstorms moving through Arkansas over the last few hours that is just starting to arrive right here along the Mississippi River Valley. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that's just outside of the Covington area, moving towards the northeast at around 60 miles per hour. I'll get some of the information for that new severe thunderstorm warning for you. This one could produce up to 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch diameter hail, so that could be some very fast winds and some damaging hail, of course. And this is the extension of that previous severe tornado warning, I should say. And then here in the Memphis area, this is the continuation of also another tornado warning that has since expired. We could see, again, 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail in this area. Very, very heavy rainfall. We could see some hail developing within this line of thunderstorms this evening. We've been talking about this a couple of times, but I want to remind you, anytime you're in a tornado warning, getting to the lowest, most interior room of your home or place of residence or workplace, that's where you're going to be the most safe. Staying away from windows and doors, covering yourself if at all possible. If you have any baseball helmets or bicycle helmets, anything that can protect your head, that's going to keep you the most safe from flying debris. If you're in a high rise, you want to go to the lowest floor possible or seek shelter inside of a stairwell on the lowest floor. Here's a look at the forecast. This line of storms moving through right here at 6 o'clock. That's going to continue to push eventually to the Holly Springs area, Bolivar, Tennessee, around 8 o'clock this evening. We're still going to have some very heavy rain along the I-40 corridor, places that have seen some very heavy rain already tonight. That eventually will transition to mostly a severe wind event, lessening the tornado threat, much less for the hail threat as well. And then overnight, we might even see some light flurries coming through on the cold side of this because temperatures are going to drop dramatically as we go through the overnight tonight. Excuse me. The tornado threat is right here around the Memphis metro, all the way up towards Jackson and beyond there in Tennessee and across parts of northern Mississippi and much farther south from there. The severe wind threat is in this red shade here most intensely, and then just outside of our area towards Columbus and Tupelo, a much higher severe wind threat tonight. Some of the heaviest rain we've seen over the last 24 hours has been up here into parts of Mississippi County. Many of those places there registering upwards of 4 inches of rainfall so far. We're going to see more rain with this line moving through, anywhere from 1.5 to 2 inches of additional rainfall. That could introduce a flash flooding rain component for us as we head overnight tonight. Tonight we're dropping down into the 30s across much of the area. Highs tomorrow are only going to be in the low 40s to upper 30s across the region. Your 7-day forecast, we'll take a look at this. We'll send things back over to Kevin McNamara. Temperatures in the 40s the next few days before we really cool down. We'll be right back after this. Coming back to radar now this evening, we're going to continue past the end of our 6 o'clock newscast and continue to bring the threats of this severe weather that is ongoing here across parts of the Mississippi Valley this evening. Memphis proper is under a severe thunderstorm warning. This includes most of the I-240 loop. If you're inside that loop, you're under this severe thunderstorm warning. If you're out towards Whitehaven and south or the Germantown area, anywhere down I-385, you're still going to have a strong thunderstorm, but not severe at this moment. Taking a look out towards West Memphis, we've got some very heavy rain beginning to move in. We can take a look at velocity, and this does show that we've got some pockets here of these bright blue colors. That's what we have to indicate the transition from sub-severe to severe winds, and that's what we've got within this thunderstorm. So you'll likely hear the rain begin before the winds really pick up within this thunderstorm, since it's not quite leading the storm. We're seeing it embedded within the convection. Whenever we look back at radar, that's the convection we're talking about. Behind the front of these storms is where we could see the gusty winds that are severe warned. Off to the north here, we do have presently still a tornado warning in place here. This should expire very soon, around 6:30, so that's going to be allowed to expire there. But it has been continued, so to speak, into parts of Crockett County, Haywood County, and Tipton and Lauderdale County as well. This is for the potential for severe components, not the tornado component. That has really diminished, but we could still see 1.5-inch diameter hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Whenever we're talking about large hail, that can do a lot of damage to your vehicle, to your home. So if you are inside, you want to be away from windows, because sometimes weaker windows can be blown out by large hail. As we take a look at the area around the north of this, we do have presently still a tornado warning in place, though that has been indicated by the National Weather Service that, there we go, it's going to be allowed to expire around 6:30 now. We should see no active tornado warnings in the area. I do want to go ahead and look through this line of thunderstorms just to, for myself, make sure that we're not seeing anything starting to rotate. Then we'll return to normal programming in just a moment. But looking here around the Helena, West Helena area, right along that leading edge, there are some indications of some very weak rotation. The thing is, we've got a squall line moving through, and these kind of tornadoes that come out of a squall line tend to be very isolated, very short-lived tornado threats. So that's what we're seeing down here towards parts of Phillips County, around the Helena, West Helena region, moving up the line off towards Tunica County, right there with the Arkansas border. Not seeing anything that jumps out at me as severe rotation, but we've got some severe winds up in the upper levels of these thunderstorms. This is the jet stream that's coming in, pushing in these storms very quickly to the east. Once again, out towards the Tipton County area, off towards parts of Lauderdale and Haywood County, this thunderstorm moving very quickly this evening, around 60 miles per hour to the northeast, so we'll get a track on that. That'll be moving to the northeast at around 60 miles per hour, so we'll just go through the remainder of that warning box. It'll be into the Nutbrush area around 6:33, so in just the next couple of minutes, moving in, probably already starting to get very dark in the western sky. The Dog Hill area around 6:40 tonight. Bell's Eagle looking at around 6:45 to 6:50. And then the Allens area around 6:57 this evening. Now that severe thunderstorm warning will continue over the next several minutes here. I'll go ahead and put that information up on the screen for you. That goes until 7 o'clock this evening. Meanwhile, down towards the Memphis area, our severe thunderstorm warning, its duration, if I can find a spot to get that query in, also until 7 o'clock this evening. We're going to return to normal programming. We're going to break back in if we have, no, we're going to keep going, all right? We're going to keep up with this thunderstorm threat around the area, as we do have the potential for some of these severe thunderstorms to continue. At this point, it looks like that threat is mainly for severe winds and severe hail. That's the good thing. The other side of that is that we could see some tornado threats develop with these thunderstorms. They're not quite to that threat that would bring a tornado, I don't think, at this moment. So that is some good news for us, if I could get the right tool out here. Only thing that keeps my eye a little bit more peeled is down here towards the Helena, West Helena area. Want to look at the relative velocity here. This is where we're seeing a little bit less of an indication of that rotation. Again, I mentioned a moment ago that we might start to see some rotation here. It looks like any of that early indication has certainly weakened. So that's some good news for us. Not getting any indication from the National Weather Service that they were going to initiate that severe thunderstorm or a tornado threat there, but they have extended a severe thunderstorm warning here through parts of northern Desoto County into Fayette County. Shelby County is now entirely under that severe thunderstorm warning, and including parts of Tipton and Haywood County as well this evening. So that's a new severe thunderstorm warning for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's very baseline. Widespread threats are not going to be the main threat. It's going to be very isolated spots where we could have potential for some heavy rainfall and some gusty winds. Let's go ahead and take a look at this severe threat, this radar image here, full screen really quickly. We'll drop out of boxes just briefly. So I can quick sip of water here. We can drop it. Thank you, Kevin. Of course, it's a one-man band shop here right now, so I got to get that a quick refresher in where we can. But looking at the wide picture here, we've got a couple groups of severe thunderstorms rolling through the Memphis metro at this hour. So we want to keep you updated on that threat this evening. It is very baseline severe, so we could see the chance for 1-inch diameter hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds in pockets along this line. It's not going to be everyone that sees quite that level of severity with these thunderstorms, but we could still have the chance for that to come through your area, so we want to keep you informed of those thunderstorm threats. Looking at the hail product that we have within our system, I'm only seeing it up to the north. If I just loop this over the last hour, we will get a sense of where we've seen some of that hail chance through our area. Most of it looks like it might be taking a moment to load in, but it's very isolated pockets of that hail that is showing up. And it's the small hail. It's not quite getting to the severe level around this area, but getting an indication from the National Weather Service that they're watching the Tunica County area. So I want to take a note into that region here. We'll take a look at radar presently, and this is right along that edge, that leading edge of thunderstorms. These are non-severe at the moment. That's some good news, but as we take a look at storm relative velocity, that shows a few of those showers that are out leading. We'll jump back to radar here. These showers that are leading this line of thunderstorms are moving at a pretty good clip. So this area here and this area are currently disconnected from the line, so that would not be a hook echo. But we could see that possibly being an indication of heavier, faster winds that are moving in along the leading edge, and that could eventually turn into some rotation. So you see that has that classic look of rotation, but going back to radar, it is currently separate from the line, so unlikely for it to be. I'm going to send things out to our Desmond Nugent, who is live in DeSoto County. He's got an update for us.
Kid, it's the wind has picked up a little bit out here in the South Haven community safe room in South Haven. There are about a dozen people that are inside just trying to stay safe as much as they can, trying to weather whatever storm does come through DeSoto County. We had a couple of lights that were flashing of some lightning, some thunderstorms rather. And so what we do know is that the DeSoto County Emergency Services says if you are having to drive out in this weather, to please be sure to use extra precaution. They tell me that just a few inches of rain could be the deciding factor of you staying on the road and you actually being off of the road. They also say that there are several shelters that are open, one of them including, like I said a few seconds ago, the South Haven Community Safe Room. Hernando Elementary is open if you're looking to seek shelter. Walls Elementary is is open if you're looking to seek shelter, and I believe Horn Lake Elementary is also open if you're looking to seek shelter. Again, if you are having to drive, please be safe. That's exactly what the DeSoto County Emergency Services is telling me. We will keep you updated again on air and online. Live in South Haven, I'm Desmond Nugent.
All right, we're coming back out to radar now, and we are just starting to see from Tipton County some hail reports are starting to come out there. I've got a picture from the National Weather Service showing hail about a ping pong ball size, about 1.5 inches in diameter, maybe up to 2 inches. So this is just to the north of Shelby County here. We've had some heavy rain coming through as well as hail just in the last half hour or so. Notice that you see that we've got some very heavy rainfall that comes right there at the start of this loop here. That's just to the west side of the Covington area that moved through that region around Gilt Edge, north of Quito and Atoka, Tennessee there. Some pretty intense hail just came through that region north of the Richardson Landing area there. Some pretty intense hail there, it looked like, but that has begun to move towards parts of Crockett County, the lead edge of that more intense rainfall coming down that area. Here in Memphis, we're just starting to see things popping up. If in production, if we could get a view of the of either the 240 or I-40 bridge over the river or around the Riverside Drive area, that would be great. I would appreciate getting that camera view just to see. We do have, of course, a couple camera views of our own. This one, we'll take a look here into, I believe this is the, yes, this is the Cordova camera. So you can see some pretty intense lightning showing up there in the distance. This is looking northwest presently. If we switch back over to the flyover camera, this one will be looking south, I believe. Not seeing any lightning right away, but we could still see. Okay, we've got the I-40 bridge here. I want to take a look at that. So, of course, we've got some very heavy rain and lightning coming in, some very frequent lightning along that leading edge of the thunderstorms moving in. So if you are planning on heading towards West Memphis, Arkansas this evening, you want to be delaying those plans this evening for us as it's starting to move into Memphis proper as well. We'll zoom into radar now. We'll take a look back at radar here. Starting to move across the bridge now, right across the river, right into downtown Memphis, and eventually we'll be moving into midtown Memphis, the Fraser area just north of Memphis. Very heavy rainfall at the moment, and Millington also seeing that. I'll take you back up to the north side of this line here, moving into parts of Crockett County. We've got a new tornado warning that was just issued here within the last few minutes. We've got the chance for that to develop into a tornado this evening. We've got a look at the radar, the velocities on the radar here, some weak rotation showing up within this thunderstorm. So we could see that potentially develop. Now, this is the same storm that produced that large hail I was mentioning a moment ago, up to about 1.5 inches in diameter. That is now moving into parts of Crockett County, so we could see some 1-inch diameter hail within that storm as it's weakened a little bit on the hail side, but it could potentially develop into some rotation, so we've got that potential right now. This is just to the northwest of Alamo along the Highway 412, that's US Highway 412. This is between the Folks area and Coxville. We could see that region possibly seeing a tornado develop around the area in the next 20 minutes. So that tornado warning, that goes until 7:30 this evening, but it will be moving out of our viewing area. It's moving around 55 miles per hour, so let's put a track on that because it's moving very quickly. 55 miles per hour. I'll push that out towards the north and east for at least the next 45 minutes. So if you're in the Maury City area, it'll be in your vicinity within the next 5 minutes or so. If you're around Brim's Corner, around 650, Alamo, Tennessee, we're looking at around 653, and then eventually it'll be moving out of our area by around probably 610 as it moves past the Gibson area and Milan as well. As we take a look a little bit more towards the south, we've got that severe thunderstorm that's beginning to move through the Memphis area right now. We're getting the latest scan that just came through. You saw the sweep of the radar come in. It's starting to move into the Midtown area. So if you're in Midtown, you want to be staying indoors as this thunderstorm rolls in. We've got some very frequent lightning, abundant lightning with these storms. We've got a view from the Danny Thomas exit at I-40. If we pull that up, you can see some very heavy rain coming through. This is showing, you can see right there under that street light, some pretty heavy rain bands moving in. This usually makes it very difficult to drive. So if you have to be out or if you know someone who is out, hope for their safe return to wherever they are going. You can see we've got some semis there with their hazard lights on, some very slow traffic as these heavy rain bands are starting to push in. Again, right there on I-40 around Danny Thomas. We're starting to see that heavy rainfall on the north side of the I-240, I-40 connection there, just north of the Hollywood area on the north side of Memphis. As we take it back to radar, we'll get a sense of where this is right now. So this is a view of around Shelby County into parts of Crittenden County, Fayette County. We're seeing this line of storms just starting to move in very quickly across the Memphis metro proper. This is moving at around 50 miles per hour. So this is, we'll go ahead and put that line, that track of this moving east at around 50 miles per hour for the next half hour. So Memphis, it's there right now, of course, in downtown, but around the Midtown area, which is where the marker is, it's going to be moving in by around 6:45. So that's about right now, in fact. Rosemark, it'll be around 6:46. Brunswick, I'll move this box out of the way so you can see some of where your towns are. Rosemark on the northern side of Shelby County, of course, moving in very quickly. Germantown, we're going to see the storm arriving in Germantown just before 7 o'clock this evening, and that's when we'll likely see the winds tapering off across downtown Memphis and around Midtown as well. We're looking at that continuing on to Collierville by around 7:08 this evening and eventually moving out of Shelby County right around 7:10. The duration of that warning until around 7:15 this evening. We'll go ahead and clear all that off and we'll take a wider view of this thunderstorm complex. Of course, on the northern side in Crockett County, if you're still watching us from the Crockett County area around Alamo, we do have a tornado warning presently. We'll switch back over to our velocity product to see where some things are rotating. A little bit of light rotation there. You can see some very fast moving outbound winds just around the Highway 412 area between Friendship and Alamo, and that's moving through parts of Crockett County. I'm going to check in with the National Weather Service for a moment and send things back over to Kevin McNamara for a brief moment.
Give it up for Kit. Kit is working hard being a one-man team. Here, this is I-40 in Riverside, the camera right now. You can see some cars on the road as those rain and those winds start to come down pretty heavily. Obviously, if you don't have to be traveling for any reason, I would certainly advise that you stay inside and wait for these storms to pass as we continue to deal with these tornado watches and warnings across West Tennessee and across the Mid-South. Obviously, please, if you don't have to be driving on these roads, stay at home and stay safe. But as long as we are still dealing with that, oh, there, you can see some of that lightning going and thunder. Obviously, as it's coming in now, it keeps going stronger. And we've got some video coming in from Bartlett, I'm told, that'll show some of those as well as you see those cars kind of driving cautiously on the bridge. Yes, this is video from Bartlett that has been sent in here. Those stormy skies looking pretty ominous there, coming in as the storm continues to settle here in the Mid-South region. This is video there of the skies that are, again, looking quite dark as this rain and those winds come down. And we're going to send it back over to the real expert here, Kit Thomas. Kit, what can you tell us?
Yeah, and you can see on the underside of those clouds that they're moving pretty quickly. You usually don't see clouds moving as quick as they have been through the day today. If you were out this afternoon, you might have noticed it then that the clouds were moving very fast out of the southwest. So that's just an indication of a lot of changing winds with direction, with height across the atmosphere, which is, of course, why we've had that tornado threat through the afternoon and evening tonight. Looking back in towards the Memphis area here, one difficulty that we're having right now with the radar is the fact that we really don't have a good sense of the straight line winds that are rolling through at the moment. The thing is, we've got winds that are moving west to east here, but the radar is looking perpendicular. And if you ever took any sort of trigonometry in high school, you know, whenever you have a 90-degree angle, basically negate any measurement of that. So we're not able to really measure the winds from the radar site here. So that's hindering our ability to see how intense those winds are right now here in Memphis proper. I can take a look at the local reporting stations just to the north of the DeWitt Swain Airport. That's on the north side of the Memphis downtown area. Current wind gusts are showing up at around 24 to 28 miles per hour, 22 around the West Memphis area. So it looks like we're not seeing any severe gusts, but of course these severe gusts are going to be very isolated, so they might not be hitting where we have an observation site around the area. The current wind gust at the Memphis airport is around 20 miles an hour, but this is out of the south, so that's also bringing in more and more moisture, more and more heat and energy for these thunderstorms to be developing. Looks like one update we have from the National Weather Service that's some good news for us this evening is the tornado watch has been cleared west of the river here in Arkansas. So Arkansas, the tornado threat is done. That is some good news. And this is going to be the case over the next couple of hours tonight. We'll likely see that watch trimmed back as these storms push east over the next several hours here. So we'll go back to radar. You can see on a loop pretty intense lightning with many of these thunderstorms. There we go, the lightning. So we've had a lot of lightning with these storms over the last several hours here. Just moving into the Memphis area, we're going to see continuous lightning with many of these thunderstorms. So, of course, if you've got a dog who doesn't enjoy the lightning, make sure that they're comforted as well. Usually wrapping them in a blanket can help them with that anxiety if the dog is not enjoying the lightning and thunder that's out there this evening. Continuing with that severe threat here across parts of Shelby County into northern DeSoto County, also parts of northwestern Marshall County into Fayette County, and southern parts of Tipton and Haywood County. Haywood County also has a severe thunderstorm warning in your vicinity. That current warning goes, I'll go ahead and pop up that information, goes until 7 o'clock this evening. Meanwhile, the one down into Shelby County goes until 7:15. Presently, we do have a tornado warning moving out of our area through Crockett County. That tornado warning goes until 7:30 this evening. So several warnings we've had this evening. We had already 3 tornado warnings prior to the current one. That doesn't have quite as prominent of a tornado signature as we have seen earlier this evening, though we do still have some rotation within that storm and some fast winds moving away from the radar site. So that's where we see the fast versus the slow wind. That's where we've got a bit of that rotation this evening. It's on the leading edge of a storm that's moving well away, and we have only mid to upper level radar samplings of this storm. That's one problem with radar is as you get farther away from the radar site, you can no longer see lower and lower in the storm. You start seeing more of the mid-levels or the high levels of that storm. So that's a mid-level rotation that could potentially translate down to the surface as a tornado. Looking back here towards the Memphis area, we do see that chance for some severe thunderstorms. Let's get back to that radar as we do have some heavier or higher winds moving into the Bartlett area. Just north of the Bartlett area there, it's looking like we've got some stronger winds as well. It's right here around the Austin-Pearl Highway. It sounds like here in far northeast Memphis, right where our studios are, we're starting to hear the rain coming down. We're located just right here along the I-40 area in Summer Avenue there. So Belclair already seeing that heavy rain moving in. This is going to be moving into Sea Isle Park area within the next 5 minutes or so. Midtown has been seeing that heavy rainfall over the last several minutes here. East Memphis, it's about to move in. So if you're in any of this area, you want to be away from your exterior walls. You don't want to be out there potentially getting that high wind threat that could blow down tree branches or possibly blow down any weakened trees. And there we have the rain. It's just starting up here in northeast Memphis. Looks like the National Weather. Let's take a look out at Sam Cooper here. This is Perkins and Sam Cooper. Some pretty heavy rain coming down right there along Sam Cooper Boulevard. Of course, if you ever are out caught in a severe thunderstorm warning, if you feel the need to, you can always pull off to the side. Usually the winds can be felt pretty strongly, especially if you're in a high-profile vehicle. Let's take a look out on I-240, and this is at Jefferson Avenue. We also see a vehicle there that has pulled off to the side of the road with their hazard lights. Other comfortable drivers are moving along pretty swiftly this evening, it looks. So that's some good news. Everyone out there on the roads, hopefully they get to their destinations safely this evening. We're not seeing too much on the way of if we could pull up Max 3, we've got a little bit of an indication of where we've seen that heavy rainfall. If we can switch over to Max 3, there we are. This is our traffic flow. So you can see that we've got some heavier traffic along the west side of I-240 there. That goes right by downtown. Along the bridges there across the river, we've got some slowdowns there as well as the north side of Interstate 40 between Watkins Street there and Warford Street. We've got a big slowdown there. So this is an indication, sort of a proxy of where we've seen the heavy rainfall. That's just starting to slow down the traffic around much of the area. We're likely seeing some very heavy rainfall that's moving through. That's going to have an impact on your travel times this evening. But good thing, as we switch back to radar now, we are starting to see it letting up across parts of West Memphis. That's where we're seeing the back edge of this line of thunderstorms moving through. But we will see the east end of I-240 getting heavier traffic, probably slower traffic with that heavier rain coming in, as well as Interstate 40 up towards the Arlington area very shortly. The north end of 385 around Millington, very heavy rainfall at this moment, moving towards Arlington as well. We've got the potential for that to continue on to the I-269 loop as we head into near the Fayette County area. I want to go back up to that tornado warning that's just now starting to move out of our viewing area, but one last update for that. That tornado warning until, let's get the timing on that as well. This is just outside of Alamo until 7:30 p.m. And again, that is moving outside of our viewing area, so that's some good news. But the rotation signature has weakened a little bit. We'll switch back over to a different radar product here, this storm relative velocity. And it really does look like it's more of an outflow dominant storm now, as this leading edge is blowing away from the storm and it's not quite rotating anymore. So that's some good news. We're seeing less of a rotation signature on that present tornado warning. Coming back here to the Memphis area, I can tell you right now, it's downpour here at the ABC 24 studios. Unlikely that my microphone's picking it up, but we can hear it on our ceiling right now. So looking back at radar, we've got some pretty intense rainfall rates coming down this area. And this is what we're talking about, the chance for some flash flooding. We've got pockets of very heavy rain that have been coming over places where we've seen intense rainfall over the last 24 hours. We can look at radar estimated rainfall totals over the last 24 hours, especially north of Interstate 40 here. Around East Memphis, we've seen some pretty heavy rainfall there. Precipitation over the last 24 hours, about 1.8 inches. We'll pop that up on the screen. Really across Mississippi County, we've seen some very heavy rainfall up that direction. Some places by radar estimates over 4 inches there in parts of Crittenden County, Cross County, seeing 2.5 inches of rainfall. So we could see the chance for some flash flooding. Of course, we've already had some flood alerts around that area this evening. I want to back things out. Let's take a wider view of this storm system that we've seen over the last 3 hours, moving from parts of central Arkansas now into the Mississippi River Valley, and will eventually push through the rest of our viewing area across northern Mississippi over the next several hours. One good thing to note is that the National Weather Service has dropped the tornado possible tag on the severe thunderstorm warning here in Shelby County. Now it is just a severe wind and potential hail threat with this storm. I'm going to take a look here into parts of Desoto County and see if we have any rotation developing along this line, because you could sort of see it had that snaking feature, but it doesn't look like it's developing any rotation. So that's some good news. We're going to start to wrap things up here, I think, for the moment, and we'll, of course, continue to bring intermittent coverage with the severe threats that we have around the area. If we have another tornado warning, we will jump back into programming and give you that information across the area. We're going to fill just right up to that 7 o'clock hour. So will keep up with some of these thunderstorms. Again, up towards the Haywood-Crockett County line, we've got some pretty intense winds. We've been talking about the transition of that color from the red to the pink in a couple of places, or the green to the blue. That red to pink is our indication of severe wind. So that's where we've got that severe wind. That's likely moving into Alamo, Tennessee within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So some pretty heavy rain as well as gusty winds moving through that area. So that just is right around, if you're around the Belle Eagle area, up Rudolph Road, Johnson's Grove Road. We've got some pretty strong winds if you're moving in, if you live in that area, starting to move through your region. Back towards Shelby County, we're starting to see things transition away from the very intense winds, very intense rainfall. As we noticed back when it was in parts of Crittenden County, we had very dark red, almost burgundy colors there, very heavy rainfall. And things are beginning to weaken. We still have pockets of red, but now the most intense rainfall rates are beginning to drop. And that's a message, to me at least, that this storm is beginning to reduce its intensity and reduce its severity. So that's some good news for us. The southern end of the storm system, the complex here, into parts of Coahoma County. We're just starting to see it move into your area around Clarksdale. That'll eventually move into Quitman and Tunica County. Tunica County already seeing some of that heavy rainfall, but eventually towards Tate and Panola County, right there along the I-55 corridor. It's moving east, but it will progress north to south as just its orientation passes through the I-55 corridor. We're coming up now around 6:59 this evening. We are going to go ahead and drop things out once we're going to go ahead and drop things out as we head to the 7 o'clock hour. Kevin?
All right, thanks for that, Kit. Here, this is I-40 and Whitten. You can see a lot of drivers out on the road still here as that rain continues to come down. Actually, quite a number. Hopefully, you guys are there. Anyone that needs to go out on the road, maintaining a safe distance. You can see some there with their hazards on as the rain and winds really pelt Shelby County. As you heard Kit tell you, moving west to east from Arkansas into the West Tennessee area, and it continues to pass through with those tornado watches and warnings that we will certainly be staying on top of here at ABC 24. Be sure to download our app. You can see it there on the App Store or through Google Play. You can also text app to 901-321-7520. That is to get staying in touch, up to date with everything that we have here and all of our weather coverage from Kit and the rest of our weather team here at ABC 24. Certainly, we'll be staying informed as we can. For that's all we have for you now, but we will be continuing to follow this. And we're on I-40 and Whitten. Here again, you can see those cars coming on the pass. Always, as those rain and winds really start to batter the Mid-South, hopefully any of you out there are staying inside, staying safe, keeping a safe distance if you do need to travel. But obviously, this is a severe weather system moving through the Mid-South. Nothing we haven't seen before, but always best to be safe and be careful. Again, we're looking at I-40 and Whitten here. Probably more drivers than I would have necessarily thought here at this time with. And now we're going to go from there to I-40 in Northwood. A little bit, you can see the wind and the fog kind of impacting our cameras, but you can see the hazard lights on from a lot of these vehicles that are traveling along I-40. Again, if you do need to be traveling, make sure that you are taking every precaution there. I think that was some lightning that just came. Yeah, now you can see those cars just moving off into the distance ever so slowly. This is certainly, you got to be watching out for flooding, watching out for any kind of puddles or hazards if you are going to be traveling in or throughout other neighborhoods. Something to obviously keep in mind as we continue to monitor this situation and this storm as it moves through the Mid-South. From here, we are going to go to, I believe this is in South Haven. Yeah, this is in South Haven. You can see that's this camera coming from MDOT. That rain really starting to come down there. A couple of cars having to make this perilous journey at this time. When that going left there, you can see those puddles of water really starting to form as this keeps coming down here. Our Desmond Nugent was down there in Desoto earlier at one of those weather centers. We're certainly, if you are in that Desoto County area, make sure that you are getting to one of those if you can. We're going back to our Kit Thomas here with more of an update on what we have for you, Kit.
We currently have a severe thunderstorm warning here around the Shelby County area. This is into also northern parts of Desoto County, and the threat is beginning to weaken as well as we're starting to see this storm really reduce the intensity of some of the heavy rainfall, and some of the radar structure is beginning to fall apart. So that's some good news, as we're not seeing quite as significant of a tornado threat with this storm. The tornado threat has been dropped from that storm presently. Now we're looking out towards parts of far southeastern Arkansas here, where there are a couple of tornado warnings. Of course, these are outside of our viewing area, but moving eventually towards the Clarksdale area. But these are embedded thunderstorms. They could reduce that rotation at any given time. Presently, we have no tornado warnings active within our viewing area. Of course, that's Crockett County tornado warning. The threat has moved outside of our viewing area, even though we have had a reduction of that threat here. So continuing with that severe thunderstorm warning, we are starting to see it weaken here across the Memphis area. Most of the severe wind threat was out along the leading edge of the severe of that line of thunderstorms, but on the backside of it, even here at the studio, we're sort of caught in a pocket right now where the rain has just relented right here at the flyover interchange there. A little bit of lighter rain there. A pocket of lighter rain just to the south of the Memphis area near the airport. That's almost near the Whitehaven area, just north of Whitehaven. A pocket of some weaker rainfall showing up there. And also here on the leading edge, we're starting to see less of that rainfall threat around the Germantown area. But of course, it will eventually pick back up once the whole thing blasts through the area. As we look through time, we'll go ahead and time things out over the next several hours. This evening, we'll back it up just a little bit here as it's starting to move through right now. Around 8 o'clock, we'll start to see it moving into parts of Fayette County and eventually into Marshall County there into North Mississippi. Continuing forward, it'll get to around the Bolivar area, probably around 8:30 this evening, and eventually moving into parts of McNairy County by 9 o'clock. At that time, we'll see the Holly Springs and Oxford area around Panola and Lafayette County. Some heavy rainfall will be moving in, potentially with some severe thunderstorms in that area. And we'll continue to push east as we head to around 10 o'clock, and then that threat will diminish, and it will eventually be allowed to expire from our area. The current tornado watch that's in the region currently is dropped from the Arkansas viewing area, so that is some good news for them, but we do still have it across northwestern Mississippi and western Tennessee. That goes until 10 o'clock this evening. As we take a look at the differences of a watch and a warning, of course, you wanted to always be aware of any alerts that are out there. But whenever a watch is in place, usually it comes several hours ahead, and that's when you need to be ready to take action. So anyone within that tornado watch presently needs to be ready to get to a safe place. Once a warning is issued, that's when you want to go to the lowest room of your home or place of residence or workplace, and the most interior room. Now we can hear the rain has picked back up right here in the East Memphis area here where we've got our ABC 24 studios. We're starting to see potential for that heavy rainfall to move towards the Germantown area. Cordova also starting to see some of that heavy rainfall. So I'm going to pull up our Cordova camera around the Hope Church region. Right on top of Hope Church, in fact. This is a view from the flyover presently of some very intense rainfall. And switching over to our Corinth camera, this is well out ahead of the storms. Everything is still pretty quiet out in this area. Not seeing any activity there, but if we go back to our Cordova camera, we'll likely see some pretty intense rainfall there at the Hope Church area. So this is looking towards the northwest, and I can actually swap that camera around. Let's take a quick look out at 240 and Lamar, where we're seeing some very heavy rainfall coming down around this area. Of course, you can see right there in that street light, we've got some pretty intense rainfall coming down. That's where we've got some risk for some flash flooding, maybe potential on some of the roadways out there. You see folks driving with their hazard lights on. Hazard lights are only supposed to be for when you are pulled over rather than when you are continuing to drive, so keep that in mind. But we see some very intense rainfall starting to come down in this area here. Taking a look out into Cordova right now, looks like we've got some pretty intense rainfall on the camera lens at the moment. I'm trying to get a view of some of the road out in the parking lot area as well of Hope Church. We can see we've got some heavy sheets of rain starting to come down in Cordova at the moment. You can see it pretty clearly on that parking lot out there this evening. As I'm going to switch things back over to the radar now, as we've got some of that heavy rain starting to come through our area here in East Memphis. And down into Tunica County, we've even got some heavy rainfall in that direction. But that severe wind could be moving along parts of I-40 just outside of the 269, 385 loop there. So I'm going to switch back over to velocity. Now that we're east of the radar site, we're starting to get a better sense of some of those potential for severe wind gusts. It looks like it's starting to breeze out, meaning that we're not going to see as much of a severe wind threat, or excuse me, a tornado threat, but we could still see a severe wind threat right now. Currently, it looks like we've only got around 53 miles per hour winds with that storm, so we'll go ahead and send it back over to Kevin and McNamara.
All right, thanks for that, kid. I know you're working hard out there, but we're going to send it back out down to Desoto County to our Desmond Nugent, who's out there braving the elements for us. Desmond, what are you seeing? What's it like out there?
Kevin, I just stepped outside just a few seconds ago, and the rain is just starting to pour down here in Desoto County. We do know that there's more people here at the South Haven Community Safe Room who are filing in, trying to stay as safe as they can. It started out just about a dozen people here about an hour ago. Now it's a little over 30 people here who are here in this shelter. We do know that the DeSoto County Emergency Services says that if you don't have to drive in this weather, please do not drive in this weather. It is not safe to drive in this weather. They also told me that a few inches of rain could be the deciding factor from you actually getting off of the road because there's so much wind gusts and rain and straight line winds that are affecting people here in DeSoto County. We also do know that there are other storm shelters that are open here in DeSoto County, and some of those that we mentioned earlier in the newscast are Horn Lake Elementary, Walls Elementary, and Hernando Elementary. Like I said, there were other people that decided to come in. There was an elderly couple who just walked in just a few seconds ago. People are just trying to stay as safe as they can. They are trying to not be out if they don't have to be in this weather. And so we will keep you updated on what happens here in DeSoto County. For now, we're live in South Haven. I'm Desmond Nugent.
Thank you, Desmond, for that report. Now we're switching back over to velocity. Once again, we've got that chance for some strong winds here outside of the Memphis area. Memphis is really no longer under the threat for severe thunderstorms, so that is good news for us here. So we switch back over to radar. We can see that we do have some heavy rainfall, but things are beginning to wrap up. So at 7:15, we will return to normal programming here, and we'll return back on air just in case anything else does come through. But we're going to stay with you through the remainder of this current severe thunderstorm warning right here in the Memphis area. We'll pop that information up on your screen. This is around Memphis until 7:15, including parts of Fayette, Shelby, Tipton, DeSoto, and Marshall counties until 7:15 this evening. We'll likely see some very heavy rainfall from this storm as well, so there may be a flash flood potential coming in. So I actually am going to pull up those or add those warnings here on the screen so that we can get that information once it comes out. The National Weather Service indicating that we could see a flash flood warning coming out very shortly here. So we've got a couple of flash flood warnings to our north. Those are the bright green colors you see from Jonesboro to Covington back into parts of Cross County. But we don't have one just yet. National Weather Service likely is drawing that up, so it'll take a moment for it to come to our area. But once it does pop, we'll let you know. South of our area, I'll continue to examine the potential for any rotation developing along this line, but nothing jumps out at me at the moment as any significant rotation, though we do have just some very, very weak rotation, which is to be expected with these storms. It's just we have a very high shear environment along the area. We're eventually going to see those storms push through parts of North Mississippi, so Senatobia, Como, Batesville, you'll see those storms coming through as well. At this moment, they're not severe. That's some good news for us, but off towards the Memphis area, we are looking at the chance for those storms to be, at this time, I believe, sub-severe as we look at the velocity signature. We just see some very isolated pockets of some very marginal severe just south of the Mason area. That's a recent development of some of those pinker pixels there. That's just into the upper 50 mile per hour range. So that is very close to severe wind gusts. And of course, if that does reach to the ground, that could cause some damage to some trees and maybe some shingles on buildings out there as well. Looking a little more broad view and up towards the north, these storms have left our viewing area, so they are no longer a threat for any of our viewers here. Meanwhile, down towards Hernando, we've got those storms beginning to move in at the moment. Very strong winds coming out ahead of the line, but if you notice where we had those bright blue colors here, that's out ahead of the storm, so that's not actually going to mix down with that storm winds here. So that's why we don't have a severe thunderstorm warning into the Hernando area. We do here around parts of the Cordova region. We're seeing the updated radar image showing up with getting closer to that I-269 continuing east as it pushes over the next several minutes here. That'll eventually move into parts of Fayette County, and as the storm weakens, more than likely it will move eventually to the Hardeman County area around Bolivar, Tennessee. We'll continue with that push over the next several minutes here this evening. We'll take you back on a more wide loop here over the last hour. We've, of course, seen those thunderstorms pushing across the Mississippi River into the Memphis area. We had 3 tornado warnings right before the 6 o'clock hour, and things have begun to really wind down this evening. That's some good news for us. We can get back to our standard programming this evening as that threat begins to diminish. But I'll go ahead and take you through that forecast over the next several hours. We'll push things east. That'll eventually get to the Holly Springs area after 8 o'clock, eventually through Panola County during the 8 o'clock hour. We could see some intense rainfall, maybe some hail developing with those storms there. Eventually it'll move through Bolivar around 9 p.m. and around Oxford just around 9:30 p.m. more than likely. By around 10:15, we'll see it moving into Corinth, Mississippi there. And that's when we'll start to see things leaving our viewing area. So that'll be when we begin to wind things down. Once again, we have a tornado watch through our area into West Tennessee and northern Mississippi. That is until 10 o'clock this evening for many of these counties. Arkansas has been allowed to leave the tornado watch. So that is some good news for this area. So we should begin to see things winding up. It is 7:15. We appreciate you bearing with us with this extended severe coverage. We'll get one last look at radar. Of course, if we do have any more severe weather that we need to bring to your attention, we will. But for now, signing off.